Okay, this is Unit 1, Notes 3, Order of Operations. So first we're going to go over some definitions. So we have an expression. An expression is a number, variable, and operation symbol that does not have an equal sign. So anytime you see an expression, that simply means you are going to simplify when possible, never solve. Okay, then we have the word evaluate. If you see the word evaluate, that means to solve depending on the problem given. So evaluate means to solve. Then we have grouping symbols. So everyone should be familiar with parentheses. Okay, but we also have brackets, curly brackets, and a fraction bar. So if we had like A over B, this bar between the fraction would be considered a grouping symbol. Then we have exponent and base. We went over these definitions in the previous note, so instead of writing it out again, I'm just reminding you that a base, if we had the example of x squared, would be x, and the exponent would be 2. Okay, the exponent tells us how many times we are writing the base. So for example, if I was to have x plus 2 cubed, okay, the base would be x plus 2, and the 3 would be my exponent. And this tells me to write x plus 2 3 times. So x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 2. Then we have our operation symbols. So we have adding, subtracting, multiply, and divide. So remember, when we're multiplying, we don't want to get in the habit of writing an x, because eventually we're going to bring in more variables, and we don't want to confuse multiply with, like, let's say a variable x squared. Okay, so for now, we're using that dot. Eventually, we'll just use grouping symbols. So instead of saying 5 times 2, it would be 5 times 2. Okay. And so that brings us to the acronym GEMDAS. So this should sound a little familiar. You probably heard it as PEMDAS. Well, the reason it's no longer PEMDAS is PEMDAS only has P representing the grouping symbol parentheses. And we just stated above that there is many different types of grouping symbols. So instead of just saying PEMDAS, we're going to use G to stand for grouping symbols. And that's going to be all the grouping symbols. So the parentheses, the bracket, curly bracket, and the fraction bar. And then everything else is the same. So E is still exponents. M and D is still multiply and divide. And A and S is still add and subtract. Okay, the main important thing here is when we see multiply, divide, and add and subtract, we are always reading the problem from left to right. Okay, so that doesn't mean if you see multiplication anywhere in the problem, you do it first because it's MD. Okay, if we look at a problem and we read it left to right, if division comes first, then you're dividing first. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So the first example here, we have 8 plus 3, parentheses 6 minus 2. So using GEMDAS, we're going to look for our grouping symbols first, and that is the 6 minus 2. So then I have 8 plus 3 times, so 6 minus 2 is 4. Bring that down. So remember, I can use multiply as that dot or as a parenthesis. So then following GEMDAS, multiply would come next. So I have 8 plus 12. And then finally, I'm adding to get my answer of 20. Okay, example 2. Okay, following GEMDAS, notice I have grouping and I have exponential. But since grouping comes first, I'm going to add what's inside the parentheses first. So 9 plus 3 is 12. So I have 12. And then I'm going to leave it in parentheses because I'm going to square it. Okay, and then divided by 6. Well, remember, our exponent tells us how many times we're writing the base. So 12 squared is the same as saying 12 times 12 divided by 6. Well, now I have multiply, that's first, and 12 times 12 is 144. Okay, then bring down the divide by 6. And then we have to do division. But since we don't have a calculator, we're going to have to remember how to do long division. So how many times can 6 go into 144? Well, first we look at how many times 6 can go into 14. Well, 6 goes into 14 2 times, and 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, 14 minus 12 is 2, bring down the 4, and now we're dividing 6 into 24. Well, 6 goes into 24 4 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Subtract it, and we get 0 as our remainder. Okay, which tells us that 144 divided by 6 is 24. That is our answer. Okay, next example. We have 4 plus 2 cubed times 5. So the exponent is going to come first. So remember that cubed at 3 is telling us that we're writing the base 2 3 times. So this is 4 plus 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Okay. Then I'm going to do all that multiplication inside the parentheses. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 4 plus 8 times 5. Then I'm going to multiply 8 times 5. And I get 4 plus 40. And then adding that together, I get the answer of 44. Okay, next example, number 4. We have 30 divided by 5 plus 2 cubed. So again, we have 2 cubed, our exponent first. We already did 2 cubed in the previous problem, and we know that that is the same as saying 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And so I have 30 divided by 5 plus 8. Then I'm going to do the division first, so 30 divided by 5, and I'm going to get 6. Then I'm going to bring down the 8. 6 plus 8 gives me 14. Okay, number 5. Okay, remember in problems like number 5, since we only have multiplication and division, we always read it from left to right. So the first one on the left is going to be the division. So 24 divided by 6 is 4. Bring down the times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, number 6. We have 6 divided by 3 times 3. So let's go ahead and do that one first, the division, because it's on the left side. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Bring down the 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And so off to the side, I want to show you why this matters. Okay, so you don't have to write this down, just showing you. If we had 6 divided by 3 times 3, and let's say we didn't do this from left to right, okay? If we didn't do it left to right and we decided to do the multiply first, then we would have 6 divided by 3 times 3, which is 9. Well, 6 divided by 9 is the same as saying 6 over 9, which is a fraction that reduces to 2 over 3. Notice how 2/3 is not equal to the answer that we got, which was 6. Okay, that's why the order matters. Always left to right. Okay, let's look at number 7. Okay, number 7, we have subtraction and addition. We read it from left to right. So I'm going to do 20 minus 12, which is 8. Bring down the plus 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Okay, number 8. Okay, so this one's a little tricky because now we have 2 sets of grouping symbols. We have the parentheses and we have the brackets. So if we have 2 sets, we always are going to look at the inside first. So these parentheses, 5 plus 2, is inside the bigger bracket, so they come first. So this is 3 times 12 minus 5 plus 2 is 7. Bring down the other bracket. Now we use the other grouping symbol, the bracket. So 12 minus 7 is 5, so we have 3 times 5, and that is equal to 15. Okay, and last one, we have an application problem. Number 9 says a movie ticket costs $8, snacks cost $5. How much does 3 tickets and 2 snacks cost? Okay, so first we have to look at how many tickets. So we want 3 tickets that cost $8 each, so we're multiplying. Okay, plus, because we're going to total up all the money spent together, we want to buy 2 snacks that are $5 each. Okay, so following GEMDAS, we start with the first multiplication. 3 times 8 is 24. Bring down the other side. Then we have another multiplication, 2 times 5, so we have 24 plus 10. Add these together, and I get 34. So remember, this is not a correct answer. Okay, some of you are writing 34 or even writing the dollar sign and calling it a day. Okay, if we have an application problem, we need a sentence for our answer. So we would say the total cost for all tickets and snacks is $34. So this would be a correct way to represent the answer.